March and March leader Jacinta VOWS Zuma has defended the group's large-scale protest, which effectively brought parts of the Durban Central Business District to a halt, describing it as a necessary cleanup operation aimed at restoring order and dignity in the city. According to VOWS Zuma, the demonstration was not merely symbolic, but a direct response to what she characterizes as deteriorating urban conditions. She claims that an increase in undocumented immigration, coupled with what she views as the municipality's failure to consistently enforce bylaws, has contributed to overcrowding, informal trading disputes, and a general decline in cleanliness and safety.
The organizers and leader of March and March, Jacinta VOWS Zuma. Jacinta, very good evening to you and thank you so much for your time this evening. Maybe let's just start off with you talking to us about the objectives of the clean-up operations that we saw taking place in eThekwini.
Good evening, Katlejo, and thank you so much for the opportunity. The objective of the cleanup was to ensure that we restore the dignity and the pride that we had in our cities and the way that they used to look before. You know, we've just had a lot of change in our cities because of the influx of illegal immigrants. People just come into the country and start selling on the streets. And it's become perfectly acceptable because the municipality has given up on doing what they're supposed to do, which is enforcing bylaws. And for us, as the citizens of this country, we decided that we can't sit back and keep watching as our country deteriorates to that condition. Hijacked buildings, people selling on the streets, shops being open, not regulated, people selling any and everything and drugs on the streets. In broad daylight. So it's something that we have really become so saddened to see and to watch becoming a norm in our own cities. So the cleanup was mostly about cleaning up the roads, and we knew that when there's a huge police presence, then foreigners or illegal foreigners, as well as people who are committing crimes, naturally retreat. So we've noted that the police are always there where we are, and we wanted to use this to make sure that we kill two birds with one stone, which is cleaning up our cities and also making sure that law enforcement is present in the areas that they need to be seen.
So what does this cleaning up actually entail physically? I mean, you speak about municipalities that are not enforcing bylaws. Are you ensuring that those bylaws are being enforced with this operation?
Well, we did reach out to the municipality several times. I mean, we've handed over 5 memorandums to them, and we haven't received a single response to them. We noticed that if we keep hanging on to the hope that our government will feel touched by the poor state of our country, then we're holding on to the little bit of hope. And it might not help us, because active citizenry is actually about bringing about the change that you want to see in your country. So that's why we decided to go and be on the streets and make sure that we're cleaning. So this involves actual physical cleaning, where we have to buy plastic bags every day, masks, gloves, and South Africans taking to the streets. And when they see people who are on the streets who are not supposed to be there with no permits, we report them to the police, who are also there on the day or the days.
You speak of days, and yesterday we saw some of those scenes of tensions that had flared. Maybe just take us through what your perspective was with regards to what led to some of those tensions between what seemed like foreign nationals and locals.
So what happened, Katlejo, is there's many versions of the truth that we're seeing out there, and some of them are actually not even accurate, and they're being spread by people who are not even present. So the marchers who were on the street, who were conducting themselves as per usual, cleaning up the streets, reporting criminality to the police were there, they're full present. And then a group of foreign nationals had organized themselves and decided to come and attack those who are cleaning and tell them to leave, because they want to operate their businesses peacefully without them being there. And they started chasing them. There's even videos of themselves organizing themselves before actually coming to the people who were cleaning. And then they went on to beat up one of our members, Teresa, who's opened up a case to this effect, and others. There's about 7 or 8 members who were beat up. and have opened cases. After that, a number of South Africans got angered when they saw this on the internet and decided to show up and stand up for the women that were beaten. Then there's a video that's circulating all over social media with claims that this is a foreign national who was beaten up, when the actual story is that that person who was beaten up, of course, nobody's supporting violence. I'm just offering clarity on who the person in the video is. It's a person who had been part of the people and started moving around with them, and had used the opportunity to capitalize and start stealing and robbing people who were trying to make their voices heard and protest against what was going on in the central town. So that is why we ended up in the way that we are, because the tensions got high and was expected. I mean, you can't be attacking people because they're cleaning up their city. And then if we retaliate, it means that we're accepting that this country will never be able to be cleaned, because foreign nationals will get to dictate to us which streets we can clean and which we can't, because they want to do whatever it is that they want to do with very too little policing and law enforcement available.
Just touching on that very issue that you speak of with regards to the criminal elements that find themselves within such protests. The DA eThekwini councillor Charmaine Soshank said that unregulated protests create conditions for criminal activity, including looting and muggings, and further placing both residents and businesses at risk. Was this an unregulated protest?
Well, why would the police be there if it was unregulated? I think the DA needs to come out and tell us why they'd be uncomfortable with South Africans cleaning the streets. Are they not the same people who always go on about our cities not being clean and the lack of law enforcement? Why is it a problem now when there's actually law enforcement, police visibility, and people cleaning the streets? Why would that upset the DA? That's a very strange thing. And I think maybe that council would have to explain to us what the real issue is, because surely you can't be angry that people are cleaning the streets.
And those businesses that feel that because of these protests, there can't be free movement within the CBD and therefore businesses need to be closed. What's your take on the impact on what seemingly is economic activity within the CBD?
From what we've noted, the businesses that are in compliance don't close at all. So it's not that all shops are closed. It's just the ones that are owned by foreign nationals who seemingly do not comply with what we know for the law to say when it comes to trade in South Africa and opening businesses. So I think as a municipality, this would be their opportunity to kind of follow up on why these businesses are closing. Also for them to kind of bring in immigration to the whole act and verify certain documents, because many of those documents doing the rounds in that area are not proper documents. So I think, if anything, the people who are in government should be celebrating that we've made their job a lot easier. They should now just be coming to explain to us how they have handed over almost 80% of the shops in our CBDs to foreign nationals. Well, how did they do that? What laws govern that? And after doing that, it would be advisable for SARS to also come on board and explain if these people are taxpayers in the country. And then we can see as well from the city in terms of, from the Home Affairs Department in terms of immigration laws, if all these people are properly documented and are meant to be in the country running businesses. I think that's the most important thing. It's not only the shops, by the way. There's people just selling on the side of the road willy-nilly, like anyone can come from Burundi. There's a lady who came all the way from Burundi to sell tomatoes on the streets. It makes you wonder. You traveled 2 or 3 days to come to South Africa with not even a single document. How did you enter the country? And when you enter the country, how do you start a business? Where do you live? What kind of food are you eating? The money that you're taking, how do you get it back to your country? It raises a lot of questions. And for me, I think the municipality should be using this opportunity to dig deeper into the issues that we have uncovered just from the cleanup.
Yeah. You mentioned a number of agencies, a lot of government agencies. Do you find that the responses are now different with March and March knocking at some of these issues on a daily, on a weekly, on a monthly? Are you finding that government agencies are now listening differently when it comes to some of these issues that are being raised? And I believe the march is also going to, or the cleanup rather, is going to take place in Gauteng. Just talk to us about that as well as we close off.
Look, I think government people are genuinely people who take a while to respond to certain issues, especially issues that touch people who don't have money or don't have the economy in their hands, as we are now living in a clearly capitalist country where it's about making profits to the maximum and rendering people who are wanting to be paid something like a minimum wage to be being a nuisance in certain private companies. So our government is an enabler of a lot of negative things in the country, and our laws seem to be just book laws. The implementation of them is quite shocking because nobody is prioritizing that. And we find ourselves as citizens being pushed into a corner where we have to fight for our lives and fight for our survival, or else we are going to be treated as those who are the wrong, because you'd never hear foreign nationals being labeled anything. I was actually saying that at the time that you, as journalists as well, if the person who had been beat up by men and had been lying on the floor was a foreign national and it was a woman, my goodness, the whole world would be buzzing right now, looking for different headlines to label South Africans. But here we have a South African woman who was beat down and was lying on the ground and is not the poster child for a victim, as we usually see with foreign nationals. Our government is not out there condemning the actions of foreign nationals. So foreign nationals clearly get a pass, a free pass at doing anything the way that they want in this country, and everyone just labels them as victims. There were people who were stabbed in East London. We went to the protest in Gombo, and when those people were stabbed, nobody even spoke about them. Nobody even cared. Everyone else just cared about what's happening to foreign nationals. Yeah, when we had a protest in Durban, a lady was shot on the foot by police who were trying to protect foreign nationals, and that story didn't even make it anywhere in the news. So it's really it's a combined effort between government and the media to make sure
Right.
that they paint South Africans as bad people as much as possible. And it's quite sad that we find ourselves here fighting for our lives.
All right, Jacinta Zuma, thank you for joining us and just speaking to us about that.
The protest, she argues, was intended to pressure authorities into taking more decisive action. However, the demonstration has intensified already sensitive debates around immigration, governance, and economic opportunity in Durban. Critics have raised concerns that such actions risk targeting vulnerable communities and could inflame xenophobic sentiment, while supporters insist they are demanding accountability and better city management. The incident highlights the growing tension between civic activism, local governance challenges, and the complex realities of migration in South Africa's urban centers.